Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Let me get a sip of my water. You guys are forearm shot. I was going to do this video and cover two different topics, both vegan and keto, but I feel like they're so different topics, I really need to kind of address this same message for both dietary approaches. I tend to be very hard on both of these groups. And I want to be clear, I will always be hard on the carnivores because they are literal morons. Like, this is the most stupid thing I've ever heard of. It is literally the most stupid, asinine, ignorant diet you could possibly come up with. Medically, scientifically, it's just ludicrous. But I'm not going to throw keto into that same category. All right, the vegan thing. Here's my point with veganism. I actually really don't have a problem with veganism. All right? And I know it comes across that I do. My problem is with the dogmatic, irrational, unscientific side of veganism. Okay? The purely emotional side to where they're not willing to discuss logic. All right, an example. I don't have an issue with the ethical side. All right, I want to make that clear because that's people's personal, if it's well thought out personal ethics, okay. My issue is the dogma when vegans literally blame animal products for all obesity and health problems, as if vegans don't have heart attacks and cancer and obesity. You know, let's be realistic. That's just simply not true. They do. And it's not even at that low of a rate compared to people who follow more balanced, healthy diets. It really isn't. When they can step back and admit, okay, animal products are not the source of all problems. Because, I mean, let's be clear, refined fructose is pretty damn high on the list. And that is technically entirely a plant source food. The literature very clearly shows that excess refined fructose is responsible for enormous amounts of health problems. Okay, perfect example. When they have the mindset that because it's vegan, it's automatically healthy, so they'll eat these garbage piles of fake meats instead of just saying, you know what, maybe I should just have some tofu or something. Because you know what? Tofu is perfectly healthy, and it's a perfectly viable source of protein. All right, I mean, great, no problem. You want to eat tofu for your protein and some of your omega-3s? I have no issue with that. It's perfectly viable. It is viable. It's viable. Okay? So, that's part of my issue when it's there. Irrational about it, and they're not willing to admit things like animal proteins are not the cause of cancer. Okay, they just aren't. The data is pretty clear on that. Animal products are not the source of all obesity and problems. Vegan diets can have problems. Vegan diets that are not carefully looked at, you develop deficiencies very easily. Okay. If a vegan is willing to admit that and say, I know that, but I'm choosing to do this for ethical reasons anyways, and I understand that I need to take certain care with my diet. I need to address the possible iron deficiencies. I need to address the B12. If I want to gain muscle, have good body composition, I need to pay attention to protein quality and protein quantity. Okay? A vegan says all that and they're willing to do that, they're now being intellectually honest. Okay, see, now we can have a conversation because they're willing to set aside the nonsense, because that is the problem. Most vegans are crazy with that stuff. It is nonsensical. They literally don't understand this science end of it. They start putting children on the vegan diets and they're not careful. That's dangerous. You better really know what you're doing. Case in point, I have met vegans who had their children on a vegetarian healthy diet, their infants, or their toddlers, but they were still consuming dairy and eggs and things. And they're like, we're not going to force the veganism on because we realize this can be a problem. It's really hard to make it healthy for children. You know what? I've seen this happen, and I'm like, hey, okay. See, that's responsible. That's responsible. Okay. When they say that, look, this is my ethics, my personal ethical choices. I personally believe this helps the welfare of animals. Now, here's my issue. I think there's logistics problems with that statement. I don't fully agree with it. But I can appreciate where they're coming from. See, again, now we can have an intelligent conversation. All right, they say, well, it's also the environmental concerns. I have environmental concerns with animal stuff. Okay. I can respect that. Now, a lot of people will I know a lot of people are going to argue against all of that and be like, well, they're just flat wrong and this and that. It's like, okay, but here's the thing. Every person has to figure out what they ethically believe in, what they think that they can personally do to make a small difference in the world, and do it. Right? And those are very individual things. And it's not always my place to tell people that. Right? And I think there's a point where a lot of us have to step back and be able to respect other people's ethical viewpoints. The issue is when, again, they get dogmatic about it. The dogmatic that they want to force what they believe onto the rest of us. And again, we're forcing on animals and people are not the same thing. You call me a speciesist if you want. I think there is a difference, especially between different species of animals. No, I don't think they all hold the same intrinsic value. Right? My viewpoint. And I don't think you can equate them. But I can still respect personal ethical choices around that. Okay? They're doing it because they really and truly are compassionate about animal suffering. Who am I to tell them otherwise? My problem is the dogma on the other end. That they believe that automatically vegan is automatically healthier, doesn't have problems. Okay, well that's an intellectual problem. That is intellectual dishonesty. But if they're willing to work around that and admit that and be like, yeah, I've got to do certain things differently, and yes, that there's a lot of vegan junk food that's arguably just as bad, if not worse, than a lot of these animal products, or even the worst animal products. A lot of them are in the same level of problem. Again, now we're being intellectually honest. The dogma has been dropped. I can respect that. And I don't have a problem with that position. I don't have a problem with that position. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. And I'll talk to you guys next time.